So for years, people have been coming to me and asking, how does a relatively small company of a few hundred people manage to work for giant companies like Intel and AMD, Epson and HP, SanDisk and SK Hynix, Disney, Microsoft, Nike, NVIDIA, GoPro, and manage to do that year after year. So it's 8 o'clock in the evening, and I'm sitting in the brown shag carpet in the living room of our California home. It's 1972, and one of my favorite shows is on the television. It's about a small group of people stranded on a planet where everything is 12 times bigger than they are. The objects, the houses, the people, even the toothbrushes. Everything is gigantic. I thought it was both scary and cool, and I wanted to go there. But the giants I'm talking about today aren't just 12 times bigger, or 100 times bigger, or 1,000 times bigger. They're actually 10,000 times bigger and 100,000 times bigger than you and me. What I mean by that is Microsoft has 128,000 employees. They've laid off 20,000 people in the last year alone. That's like every single person in the Minsk IT industry losing their job. It's really hard to get your head around that. Disney has 149,000 employees. And HP is twice that size. They have 300,000 employees worldwide. And here you are, just a dwarf, just this little tiny mouse. To these giants, you're small, whether you're one person or 200 people. So how do you work with something that large? Well, to get there, you first need to hone your skills by working with the little guys. You need to practice, 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 winning a project and delivering it. If you can't deliver a project for a small business, you're not ready to venture into the land of the giants. At 24, I founded a DOS graphics toolkit company called Genus Microprogramming. But after 8 years in business, Microsoft had finally started getting it right with Windows 95, and the days of DOS were numbered. I decided to pivot to game development. Both Atari and 3DO had come out with new game systems, and I saw this as an opportunity to break into the relatively closed market of games with Sega and Nintendo. With our low-level graphics programming experience, it was a good fit, and the games market was white hot. At the time, I was playing a game with my 5 children that we called Nerf War. We'd run around the living room and the house and we'd be shooting each other with foam arrows and foam balls. It was a lot of fun. And in 1995, id Software also had a huge hit called Doom. And I wanted to make a game like that for kids called Nerf War, but where they could play it without running around in hell. The funny thing is, this is Doom 1. And everyone I'm pitching the game to is telling me the FP shooter has been done and it's not very interesting. I mean, you guys remember Doom, right? So we all know that's not true. id Software has been developing for the Atari Jaguar, and they're located in Dallas, which isn't too far from Houston. So I called up John Carmack and went to spend the day with him. At least John thought the idea was cool. But I couldn't just approach Atari as an unknown game developer. So I approached Hasbro about licensing the Nerf brands. And I used that license as a magic bean to reach Atari and get their interest. I used each company to attract the other one. Meanwhile, I just tried not to get stepped on. After a year of effort, I signed both deals on the same day, and we were off to make our game. We had $300,000 from Atari, and we were spending $100,000 on the Nerf license from Hasbro. It was a decent budget back then. And there we were, this little business, just this little guy, little company, working with two iconic companies and brands. And it was great. But eventually we did get stepped on. Atari died and fell on us halfway through the project. Hasbro stomped on what was left by blocking a deal with Sony while keeping our $100,000 license fee. Thank you very much. It was a huge disappointment and a major blow to my business. The land of the giants can be a dangerous place for dwarves. The truth is, when you're that big and massive, almost everybody looks small. So they're used to that. They don't expect you to be as big as they are. And really, they're small in a lot of ways too. Inside, they're just small businesses working inside this big business. And those small businesses are made up of minions like you and like me. And the truth is, they need you. This picture is derived from Greek mythology, where the blind giant Orion carried his servant Sedalion on his shoulders. Orion had been blinded and needed Sedalion to guide the way. Small companies can provide many services that they just can't get from other big companies. They need your help. But they don't want to work with just one guy. They call that an employee or a contractor. You can get a job that way and you can make a good salary, but you're not going to get a great deal and you're certainly not going to get a monster deal. So what can you do? Well, you need to speak their language. You're not just one guy. You're a company. Even when you're just one guy, have a company name, a logo, a website, a domain, a business card. Speak in terms of we, not me. We can do that. Softeq can do that. Pretty soon, they'll start talking about Softeq, your company. Brand your communication, brand your invoices, brand yourself. Every time I'm in a meeting with a customer or a client's office, I'm wearing a Softeq shirt. It reinforces I'm a business, not just a guy. And it makes everyone I meet there familiar with the company name. I don't know how many times I've been in an elevator and suddenly somebody comes and says, "So what does Softeq do?" Sometimes they say, "So what does Softeq do?" But at least that's an entry point in the conversation. I have Softeq on my jacket. I have Softeq on my shirt. And some even think I have a Softeq tattoo underneath. But I'm not telling. When someone approaches me as a business with a Gmail address, even I'm thinking, here's a guy who can't afford $15 for a domain name. Either that, or he's just too lazy. Or maybe he's both. It really doesn't cost that much. And this is Business 101. It seems like everybody should know this, but I've seen these mistakes over and over and over again. Nowadays, your website is your office. I found that giants rarely visit your physical office. So make an impression with your website and with your communication. Create processes and communication with email aliases like sales@softeq.com, accounting@softeq.com, marketing@softeq.com. I had all of those aliases when I was the only employee. 20 years later, the business processes are still all the same. The only difference is there are hundreds of people behind them. The big companies do the same thing, so they expect it and understand it. When I was really small, I put senior developer on my business card, not president, not CEO, although I did own the company. The big companies really don't care who owns your business, but they will think it's odds that the CEO is there doing the programming. It's not even misleading when you're the developer. Give yourself a promotion later after your company grows. Of course, if you're asked who owns the business, always be honest about it. So to get your foot in the door, it really is about personal relationships. You need to develop trust one-on-one. For the Atari Hasbro deal, I had to earn the trust of just one person at each company. The secret to being exceptional is simply doing what you said, when you said, for how much you said. It's really a low bar, but a lot of companies can't do it. I got my first contract with HP through a personal connection. He recommended me to a colleague at HP, who I met and managed to impress, so I got a small job. I delivered my milestones on time and on budget, and soon they were saying, wow, Softeq's the one delivering working code on time. Let's shift some work from these other companies who are delivering late and give it to Softeq. Notice again, they said Softeq, not Chris. Your network moves from smaller companies to bigger companies. And if they trust you enough, they'll risk their job on giving you a small project. You need to bend over backwards at that point. Always have their back. Give them the credit. Get them promoted. Grow and support your champion on the inside, working in the big business. Impress that one guy just over and over and over again. Take the small projects they give you, deliver on time and on budget, and do it again, and you will get noticed. Make them really happy, project after project. You'll be rewarded with more and more work. And they'll tell their big friends. Be a step ahead of new technologies and tools. I was one of the first to buy an Apple Watch. Yeah, because it's cool. But also, I want to know all about what my customers ask us about. We're in the mobile app business. You know they're going to ask at some point. Today, a new customer of ours was kicking off a new project. We thought it was a mobile project. Turns out they suddenly wanted to develop on the watch first. They asked if we had an Apple Watch in Mint. And I said, why, yes we do. Be ready when they ask you to do a larger project. Have an idea of how you'd scale if necessary. Who would you hire? Who would you partner with to scale your business? Because eventually, a monster will come along. A monster deal is one that's just so big that you're scared to death to win it, and a little bit relieved when you don't. Winning a monster deal takes time. Big companies move slow. You need to be patient. Don't be too anxious, and don't expect to start quickly. Don't take on the project if you're not confident you can handle it. Obviously, that would be a mistake. It's okay to take on something a little bigger than you're used to, but it should be something in your area of expertise or very close to it. Bill Gates was negotiating with IBM for his basic interpreter when they asked him, hey, can you guys give us a DOS operating system? suddenly, there's a monster deal on the table. I found that one of the biggest challenges with monster projects is not the technology, it's the cash flow. Make sure you structure the payment in terms in a way that doesn't leave you with enough cash. Ask for an initiation payment and try to front load the milestone payments as much as possible, as these guys are slow to approve invoices and they're slow to pay. Make sure you ask for enough money to get the job done. The good news is the money does eventually arrive. We have been working with HP for a number of years, delivering project after project for them. And eventually Disney approached HP, and HP, as you remember, this massive giant of a company, recommended Softeq. This was a monster deal for Softeq, but way too small for HP. Notice I said for Softeq and not for me. But the reality was I was just a guy running a business out of his house with giants knocking on the door. It's a multi-million-dollar deal with tight deadlines involving hardware, software, firmware, certifications, all on this impossible 6-month deadline. We had never delivered a hardware project before. But at this point, we've been involved in many project launches with HP, from the firmware and the software side. We had seen how HP managed hardware suppliers, so it wasn't that far outside our core competency. It took months of negotiation, proposals, all-nighters, a plane trip to deliver the proposal at the last minute, and after a lot of effort, we won the contract. We were small, really small. But we won with our professional communication, our history of delivering on time, and because we were sitting on the shoulders of HP. Disney said it was the most successful project they ever had. It went smoother than every project that they had to date. We went on to do many more projects for Disney, and HP even wrote a case study about our work. HP, Disney, and Softeq. It's nice to have your company name in a sentence, those businesses. Here's the device we built for Disney 10 years ago. It's still in use there every day, and at over 30 national parks across the US. It's called the Duratec. Disney has been our happy customer now for over 13 years. And we have several active projects with them even today because we deliver. So be fearless. You can win monster deals without getting eaten alive. We had a large customer approach us about a project, and I realized we needed $500,000 in order to make this happen, up front, to succeed. I had a choice. Either don't ask them and run the risk of failure, or ask them to write a check. Even my financial advisor was telling me, don't ask them. Don't risk losing the deal. But I knew that I'd likely get eaten alive in the end if I didn't. Big companies want to know what you need to succeed. They want to know what you need to succeed. I asked them, and got the check. Thankfully, I was able to deliver. But without it, I wouldn't have. Have confidence, communicate as a business, and ask for enough money to succeed and deliver. But most monster deals start off as babies. They're not all multi-million-dollar deals at the start. Most of them start small. Our project with Sandus started with just a couple of guys. We delivered it over and over again. Eventually, they're asking us, hey, how fast can you add a team of 20 firmware developers? And suddenly that little project has grown into a monster deal that grew to over 100 people. Fortunately, we had a plan to scale. You see, there's this place called Minsk. Maybe you've heard of it. Bernard of Chartres used to say, nanos gigantum humerus incidentes, that we are dwarfs sitting on the shoulders of giants because we are assisted and lifted up by their giant size. Apparently, Bernard was giving the same presentation back in the 12th century. This is thought to be the origin of the much better known saying of Sir Isaac Newton. If I have seen further, it is only by standing on the shoulders of giants. Big businesses don't really want to step on you. They want your help, and they want to lift you up. So even though that Hasbro and Atari deal ended badly, it was worth doing. And I continue to benefit from the personal relationships I made there even today. So I found my way to the land of the giants, and it's a magical place. I hope to see you standing on your own giant real soon. Thank you.